Yay, welcome. I am so excited. I have Tracy here with Trees Have Feelings, and Tracy and I have known each other for a while, and I'm excited to share her business with everybody here. But Tracy, if people don't already know you, will you tell us a little bit about you and your business?
I will. Thank you. So my name is Tracy Major, and I am an artist and storyteller, and my company is called Trees Have Feelings. You can kind of see I'm surrounded by trees if you're watching this on video. If not, I am surrounded by illustrations of trees. They are all I've learned that the term for what I do is intuitive art. I did because I didn't know I could draw until now. It's about 4.5 years ago. And the trees came while I had been at work and losing my mind. So I had been a TV producer, writer, director, the whole shebang for almost 30 years, Hollywood, the whole thing, Hollywood, New York. And finally, the stress on my last show was killing me. And oh, you know what, Frannie, I could have this. I have one right here, a little one. But this is a section of my desk calendar from 2019.
I love it.
This is a greeting card, but this is a section of my Staples desk calendar, if you know the big flat crummy ones. And I had a bucket of flare markers and a lot of rage. And so this is rage. And so to calm myself down, I just started, but it was much bigger. Like, and from the rage came trees. Cool. And so this says, from the madness of the day came a future she never imagined. And from that moment on, the trees have not stopped. I can't draw a real tree. I can only draw my imaginative, colorful, whimsical trees. Some of them are sad, some of them are joyful, some of them are snarky. But really now, after 4.5 years, these have been my healing trees. And they launched my husband and me. My husband and I, we left our careers, left Los Angeles via Phoenix, which is where that show was, where I absolutely lost my mind, we'll say. Bleep. Beep. And we left and we followed the trees to Bellingham, Washington. And my husband and I do this full time. And every tree has its own story, its own name and personality, but there's lots of big feelings. So that's the name of the company, is Trees Have Feelings. That was a gift from a friend, treeshavefeelings.com, that she gave me. And at first I was like, oh, that's a really funny joke. I'm not doing anything with these trees. Nobody's going to want them. It's dumb. And I can't even draw. I'm not an artist. Like, thank you. You just wasted $12.99 on Google domains, but that was a really lovely joke. Well, here I am.
But isn't that like what all beginning artists feel like? Like, nobody's going to buy our stuff. Like, who would actually want it? And then you sell it to that first person who isn't like a family member or friend. And then what's that experience like going forward?
Yeah, that was crazy, because I was really emotional about it. Like, I was like, with the trees, like, go away, please go away. I'm not an artist. I can't do this. I will not. And you will never find me under a tent standing and selling art to people. That will never happen. It's like, oh, hi, here I am standing under my 10 by 20 tent with the whole big thing, right? And yes, when the first people came to our first event, and we were tiny, we didn't even have a tent. And we were
what
tiny.
Was your first market?
We were at Christensen's in Mount Vernon, Washington. And at the Vinery, which is this beautiful location, and the people, just everything about that location. And it's obviously, if you're not from here, it is a magnificent giant acreage of garden center and historic buildings, and then just really beautiful. And so I was really spoiled just by that on its own. But then when the first people came in, and one woman, and I was kind of hiding behind my husband, like, I'm behind the camera. I don't want to be out in front of anybody. I'm not, it's too vulnerable. No. I'm like naked. Like, I'm going to go put on some clothes and hide. And this one woman walked through, and she started looking at the trees, and she just burst into tears and said, I have to walk away. I'll be back. And that was really like, oh God, what have I done? Like, what have I done? But it was because one of the trees just got her, and that has been the experience now all the time. And from that moment of fear and not knowing, is this good or bad? Like people are like, oh God, she's crying, but she's laughing. And I don't understand this. And really it was the customers, the people who showed up, whether they bought anything or not, it was the people who showed up and understood what my art was, even more than I did, because I was so afraid of it. They did, and they continue to remind me that I can do this. I am an artist. I've known I was a writer my whole life. So that's the more, that's where I feel, that's my comfort zone. Writing is my comfort zone. Drawing isn't. And so really it was only from communicating and connecting to other people. And even like, you know, like you, Frannie, like, you know, I met you early on, and it's only been a few years, right? Because 2 years now. And that's what kept me going in the beginning. And still, even when I go through these ups and downs and fear and joy, when I go out with the public, which I did not want to do, that's where I get my greatest joy. And confirmation that what I do and what all of the artists and farmers I'm surrounded by, like that's quite a difference from the Hollywood scene, right? Like suddenly it's me. This, you know, there's no veneer. There's no putting on a face to go to work and having to be tough. And it's just so amazing to see also for us in Washington, Washingtonians, is that how you say it? Washingtonians. Washingtonians, it's easier to say Californians. Washington, whatever. People who live in Washington.
People who live here.
Show up. Yeah. Rain, sleet, snow, hail, all of those things in one afternoon. And people still show up and support local. And that is mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing. So it keeps me going.
Well, it's like I grew up here, so I'm one of those people. I will go to pretty much any event as long as you have the right clothing, like rain gear, snow gear, whatever you need. But I love that like you've gone through that journey and been able to kind of like move out of that imposter syndrome of like not
a little bit,
but a little bit. I think we artists, we all have it. Like no matter how many years, I feel like all artists are going to have like a smidgen, and it's probably not even exclusive to artists. Like I'm sure I have some friends who are in corporate world or whatever jobs that they do that still experience that in some ways, especially for women. Like, I don't know.
Especially for women. Yeah.
It's just like such a strong thing. So like, what have you found in doing the market worlds? Because I know you and John do a ton of markets every month. Like this is your main job. Like what have been the biggest challenges, or what have been the biggest joys of doing like the markets that you've done all over Washington?
Yeah, well, yes, thank you. And for asking that. And John is my husband, who he runs the whole business. And that was part of our deal too, is that I'm not a business person. You run the business, you do the literal heavy lifting, like putting a tent up and building and hanging.
Building all the displays. They're gorgeous.
Yeah, it's massive. It's massive. It's an ordeal. And the hardest part is learning to live. I really empathize with our farmers, honestly, because we live by the weather too. Like if it's too windy, we can't do anything. We can't set up. If it's too windy, we can't set up. If, if it's just a day that is too cold and people don't come, and we know we're not going to make enough money that weekend. Like we are not, we do week to week. I mean, this is putting in massive effort. And so that is the hardest part, not knowing. We don't get a paycheck every week that we know we can count on. Yeah. And so that is the hardest, the absolute hardest part. The other hardest part is doing social media, which not one artist wants to do social media. No, it's so hard. Yet it's a blessing because we wouldn't have our businesses if we didn't have social media, because this is what allows us to say, we're here, you know? So it's this. So that's the worst. The joy of it, the joy is when my art and storytelling matters to someone. And a lot of times, I mean, and we call our Trees Have Feelings in our tent, and someday we'll have hopefully like a brick and mortar, but our tent is like a healing tent, and we laugh, and there's a lot of tears. We pull up, we always forget to buy Kleenex, but we always have a roll of paper towels. So it's like we get the roll of paper towels, and it's the greatest joy is that little kids come in and they love it, and then great grandmothers come in, and then men actually come in and have feelings. And a lot of them aren't expecting to. And that gives me the most amount of hope.
Yeah.
Truly. But we talk. And so we used to have a little 10 by 10, you know, booth. And then we had to grow because we found it's a communal space. Like we hang out, we talk about stories because the trees and their stories. Like even this, you know, just my original doodle, this again, a tiny version of it. But it's from the madness of the day came a future she had never imagined. So many women that say, I'm there right now. And I look around at all these women who, many of us, I would dare to say 70% of us are women.
Yeah,
out there. The makers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would say like at my market's 95% women.
These are badass women. We've taken giant leaps. You, me, everybody out there that is selling something that they have made. Not everyone is doing it as their entire income, right? A lot of people, it's a side hustle, but for a lot of us, it's not a side hustle. We have a side hustle to our main gig that's an art business. It's
like branches
the side hustle, right? And so that I think is what has been so incredible, to just experience the emotion and the connection. And especially after COVID, we know how much we need each other. And I have learned how the combination of visual art and storytelling together is far more than the sum of its parts. Like there is a magic that happens when language and art merge. And I never realized that my whole life. I was 56 before I knew I could draw, 55 and a half. Right. And so art was never in the forefront. I was always too busy being this and being that and being, you know. And now, like, it's just so incredible to see how much all of us matter. All of our art matters to different people.
Well, and I feel like that's so hopeful for people too. Like there's so many people that I've met at markets or just in life that say like, well, I'm not creative. I could never do what you do, or I could never paint, or I could never draw, or I'm like, whatever excuse it is. But I'm like, for you to not start drawing until you're 56, like, and look at where you are now. I don't know how old you are.
I just had my 60th birthday. I just had my 60th birthday. And now I can, as that is, it's really cool to be able to go out and look at other women and say, I'm doing this. Yeah, I'm scared as hell. I mean, this is not easy, but I'm doing it. And you can too. I think what we do is we give encouragement to other people, men, women, to make a change in their life if they are suffering, or if something is harming them psychically, physically, you know, all that stuff that we what we deal with. So I am very open about my age. I had no idea that this was coming. And so now I just have to say, I just have learned to say yes. Because I finally had to say yes to the trees because they were relentless. Like, nope, pick someone else. Pick somebody else. I am not it. I'm actually the last person you should pick. And here we are.
Well, it's beautiful. Well, then with that, like, I know now your journey that you've been through, what are you looking forward to, or what are you most excited about coming up?
Well, as you know, we just launched a Kickstarter, the GoFundMe, and it's not GoFundMe, it's Kickstarter, but the crowdfunding for my a children's book that I've written, and I am illustrating. I have a co-illustrator because I just made that up. I looked and Googled like co-illustrator. It's like, no, it doesn't come up. And it's like, I don't yet know how to draw the things that I can write. So together we're doing this book. It's kind of Edgar Allan Poe meets Shel Silverstein. And I have a canvas of her right here. This is Ravina.
Yay.
Ravina the All Wrong Raven. Of course, it's going to be backwards for everyone.
No,
but
it shows
it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it does. Yay.
Yeah.
So Ravina the All Wrong Raven. So right now we're doing Kickstarter. So it's a hardback book. It'll be like in the style of Shel Silverstein, in that it's long form poetry that has loose ink illustrations, but then Ravina is all the color, and she is unwelcome in the forest of Nevermore. There's the Edgar Allan Poe angle. So if Edgar Allan Poe and Shel Silverstein had a baby, it would be Ravina.
It would be Ravina.
It would be Ravina.
Beautiful.
So that's she's kind of the queen of the forest, and so now I see her being a series of children's books, but also for adults, because her story resonates for mostly with kids. They enjoy the rhyme and the story and the color and her personality, but for women, it speaks to my experience in Hollywood, and I know so many women's experiences and men who have big feelings and emotion that they express, because then you're too emotional, you're too this, you're too soft, you're too hard. And especially for us, right? You're just too everything. It's like, well, you know what? Because we are kind and have big feelings and a heart does not mean we are weak. Yep. And that's the bottom line to Ravina the All Wrong Raven. So she will appeal to all of us, I hope.
I cannot wait to read it. Those are honestly my favorite books. I have a bonus daughter who's 8, and all the books that I love the most, and the ones that I keep like tending to buy more and more, are like, I think I even have one on my desk. It's just called Finding Muchness, and it's all about like, you are enough. And there's the whole compendium line has like, what would you do with an idea, or what would you do with a problem, and just like these positive inspirational stories that are also great for adults. Like, I love them. They make me reflect more about my life, and that like my life's enough. Like, I don't need anything else other than like my cats meowing at each other right now. This is Bubba.
And that's hi Bubba. And then hi Bubs.
Odie's around somewhere. Odie's the fat cat, Bubba's the little one. But yeah, so I'm so stoked for your book to come out.
Thank you.
And I know like we're at the end of our time, and I'd love to talk to you again and like follow up later down the line to see how the book is going. But if people are on social media or online, what is the best way for them to find you?
So you can find everything as Trees Have Feelings. So Facebook, Trees Have Feelings, no underscores, no nothing. Instagram, Trees Have Feelings, treeshavefeelings.com is the website. And then the Kickstarter, the easiest way is to go to Kickstarter and put Ravina in. And she is officially a project we love by Kickstarter. We have she has a massive fan club. So we're getting there. We're hopefully close to 50% funded in our first week. And but we got to keep going. The more we raise, obviously we have to reach our goal on Kickstarter. So it's an all or nothing proposition. But then if the further we can surpass our goal, then we can do more outreach to schools and libraries and librarians and such.
Oh, I love it. Well, I can't wait. And I
hope
that you have a very successful market year, and we'll connect soon. So thanks for
having me. Well, I adore you, Frannie.
I adore you.
Thanks for the good work you do for all of us.
Of course.
Hmm?
Now